Now let's add structured data to our website. I have the files here for the site, and I'm running them right from here on the file system in my browser. If I navigate to All Pies and click on the link for Apple Pie, this is the page we're going to add some structured data to, so it can show up in Google Rich Search results as a product. I have the site open in Visual Studio, but I'm just using this tool for the layout features. You can use whatever text editor you like to modify the page. Let's open the applepie.html page. The first thing I want to do is give this page a unique title. This comes from the SEO recommendations we talked about earlier. This page title will show up in the search results, so we want to make sure that it tells the user that this page is about the apple pie we're selling. Next, we want to update the description meta tag, because this is also important to search engines, and may end up being used in the snippet in the search results. So let's give this a more descriptive title, which includes some keywords that the users might be searching on. Okay, now we can add some structured data. I'm going to use the JSON LD format that's recommended by Google. So let's add a script tag to the head, right after the existing one. The type is application/LD plus JSON. Now let's add the first part of the JSON. Notice that the type attribute is set to product. Types are set by schema.org, and they define the elements in the rest of the structured data. There are unique identifiers here, and these are just values that I added, but if you're generating the JSON using a framework, these might identify your product in the database. The brand type is set to Bethany's Pie Shop. Now let's add some more attributes to this structured data. You can add reviews to your structured data, and remember, these aren't shown on the page for the apple pie, but these will be available in the search results. Another optional item is an aggregate rating. I've set this so the average rating is 4.4, and it shows that there are 89 ratings. Again, you'd most likely generate this using some sort of dynamic framework like ASP.NET, because ratings can change faster than manual changes in your HTML. But as far as the rich results in Google search, it will appear the same either way. Next, let's add the offers attribute with a type called offer. Again, this is a set of attributes defined by schema.org that Google knows how to format in search results. I've added a price along with a validity date and used a known enumeration value for the availability. The text for this structured data comes from the example in the Google Developer Docs, so you can copy and modify it to suit your application. There are examples for other schemas too, like events and local businesses. Now let's save this page with Ctrl+S, and let's go back to the browser and refresh the page. You can see there are no visible changes by adding this structured data. This is purely for the search engine results. So now, before we upload these changes to our live site on the web, let's test this first. I'll highlight all the text with Ctrl+A and copy it to the clipboard. Now let's open up a new browser tab and navigate to search.google.com/test/rich-results. This is the test page for structured data. You can either enter a URL to a live page on the web, or during testing, you can just paste your code in directly. Let's do that. You can choose to check this code using the Googlebot for smartphone or for desktop. Let's stick with the smartphone and click Test Code. Google is scanning the code. And now we have the test results, and it says there were issues loading the page. Let's click that. It says 4 page resources couldn't be loaded. This makes sense, because these are images with relative paths, and Google doesn't know where those paths should resolve to. When we run this against a live page, we won't get these errors. Let's navigate back, and let's scroll up a bit in the results. Google detected we created a product item. Expanding this shows all the properties that are included. There are also some snippets detected, and these are the aggregate rating and the review that we added in the structured data. Now let's scroll up to the top and click Preview Results. So here's a preview of what the page will look like in Google Rich Results. The page title is showing, so it's good that we made that more specific. The meta tag description is underneath that, and the rating, price, and availability all came from the structured data that we added to the page. Now our live site is running in Microsoft Azure, and I've copied the FTP login information already and used it to connect to the site in FileZilla, just like you saw when we deployed the site earlier. On the left side are the files on my local file system. So let's right-click on the applepie.html file that we just added structured data to, and let's upload it to Azure. The file's been transferred, so let's go back to the rich results and back up to the page where we can enter a URL. This time let's enter the URL to the apple pie page that's running in Azure. and run the testing. This time there are no loading issues because Google can resolve all the relative paths on the page. If I preview the results, it actually looks a little different. The price is now getting picked up from the structured data and from the visible HTML that was enclosed in a semantic HTML strong tag. And the description is also coming from the HTML now. So you can't always predict exactly how Google will render rich results. It's best to test against your live site to be sure you're getting the results you expect. So we've been able to use this tool during testing, as well as once the changes are deployed to our live site on the web.